Hello, everybody. Sunfirefly here. So, I am going to talk about biases, and specifically, I'm going to talk about biases within scholarly research. So, um, I am I'm going to talk about bias research. I mean, so I would say, so to start off, I would say that biasy research, I'm by the word bias is a little weird because when we hear the word bias, we think of only negative. But we think of racism, we think of bigotry, we think of sexism, we think of all the isms. Um, what I want to say is that racism can, I mean, not racism. Biases are not inherently bad. They can help you when you're in a bad situation. They can help you when you're in a good situation. I've I've gone when you're a teacher in early education, you're gonna go through biases. When when I was an infant teacher, there are some babies that came up to me who didn't know who I was and just like automatically, hey, you're my person now. We're gonna do everything together here. I'm gonna come to you when you're at school and we're gonna play. And I'm just like, okay. But then there are these other babies that are just like, no, I don't know who you are. I've never seen you. You're not one of my parents. You're not one of my primary caregivers. So no, no, I'm just gonna look at you with stank eyes for the rest of the day. But I mean, over it takes kids varying varying a very amount of time get to get acquainted with you and to feel more comfortable with you, and that's okay. I knew that when I was coming in. I mean, you're biased when you see a person talking to themselves on the train and you're just like, I don't want to sit next to them. Should I sit next to them? No. You're obviously going to say no because you never, first of all, you never seen that person, and second of all, why are they talking to themselves? Even though I'm talking to myself technically with the camera in front of me. I, um like everyone talks to themselves, but some people do it in the privacy of their own home. Anyway, getting also, I mean, sometimes there are biases with race, but I mean, if you understand, but I understand sometimes, like I said, right now I'm working at a bilingual Chinese school. I've primarily, the staff and the children are Chinese, so there is going to be biases. Um, I had a kid in my toddler classroom. He was like 15 months when he came. I would always pick him up. He was just like not having it. He was such a diva. Even when he was okay with me, he was just a diva. Um, I would pick him up and he would always like stretch out his hand and like, no. And so yeah. So I didn't look like anybody in his family. The teachers did, so he felt a lot more secure with them. And if I was in his shoes, I would do the same thing. I don't like, if I was Chinese and I never saw a black person before, because usually Chinese people hang around other Chinese people, not because they're racist. It's because they come from the same background. They came from China. They they speak Chinese, they eat the same food. And so when your Chinese parents only hang around Chinese people, your whole life, which is 15 months, you're only going to see Chinese people. So you'll be like, oh, I'm cool with these people. So, and I don't know any other people exist. When you see a black person, you're just like, what is this? I don't know who this is. And now that I'm preschool teacher, I still have my kids asking me, why is your hair curly? Why your skin black? I don't know. And it's just like, it doesn't really affect me. Um because I know that's gonna happen. Um but so and biases help you survive. It's just the thing. It's not, I don't think, and you can tell the difference between like when someone actually doesn't know and when someone is, they most likely, they you can tell when someone like is biased, when someone is being racist, bigoted. So I feel like if a like my kids would ask, why is your skin brown? Because they generally want to know. But another person, like if a grown person came and asked me, why is your skin brown? Then that's when I'm like, you know better than to ask that. You're just saying that because you feel like you're being superior when you ask me that type of question. So it's the same question, but you can tell when one is being sincere and one is not being sincere. So, I I said I wanted to talk about I want to talk about this biases within scholarly research. And there are biases within humanities, there are biases within social sciences, like humanity, like classics, history, um, you could say social science, sociology, psychology, biology, botany. But well, I don't really know how there would be a bias in botany. There could be, but I would have to look into it because it's just like, unless a flower is doing research on a flower, which doesn't make any sense. But I'm not a botanist, so I would not know anything about that. So the bias that so first of all, I would say that your background, like I gave you the example of when I was in the toddler classroom, my kid didn't like me because I was black, because he didn't know because I didn't look like his parents or anybody in his family. So we can all, he had a bias because he was born in a Chinese family where they all spoke Chinese. So, and my bias is that I was born to two black people, and I was also born a woman. So I obviously would be more prone to probably looking at black women in history more than a white man. Now, I'm not saying that white men obviously can't be interested in looking at black women throughout history, but again, since I have that connection with them, I have more connection to black women within history than a white man does. So that's my bias. Now, by saying that, here's the positive side. Like I said, I have more of a connection with Black women throughout history than my white male counterpart as a historian. So I will probably understand why this Black woman would have done something within her lifetime. And because I would have probably gone through the things that she went through. Not obviously not saying that exactly went through all the things that she went through, because this is, again, this is a historical character, and I'm in the present. So I know that racism, sexism is going to be very different than it is for me today. And he's probably not going to he's probably not going to make this, the white man is probably not going to make the same inferences about why the historical character's behavior was influenced. I'm probably going to see this research differently than my counterpart is. So that's the positive aspect. That being said, it can also be negative. It can also be a hindrance, because one, you don't want just one person having their own take on historical research. That being said, that being said, I'm not saying that it's bad that a bunch of Black people will do research on, a bunch of Black men will want to do research on Black women in history. But it's good to get different perspectives on history, because you never know who can add their inferences or their or their perspectives on how to interpret information. So that's why it shouldn't be Black women's history should not be gatekept by Black women. Black history in general should not be gatekept by Black people, because it's okay to have a white person tell Black people history, a Black person's history, because it's okay, because that it's still getting Black history out there. It's no, I'm not just saying only white people can tell Black history. That's only Black people can tell Black history. That's just that's we can all tell Black history. That's what I'm saying. Now the thing is, when I I really don't want to talk so much about this, but going back to the Cleopatra miniseries on Netflix, I wanted to say that in my last video that I made specifically about it, I wanted to say that I said that basically almost all of the historians that were doing the panel were women. There was one man. All of them were women. Almost all of them were women. There was one man who was doing it. So that's a bias. I mean, it's good that you have women talking about Cleopatra, but why not get a man's perspective on Cleopatra? And because we only have one man who has this perspective on Cleopatra, and he had I don't know. I didn't do my research on him. I forget his name. His name is Islam Issa. Dr. Islam Issa. And I don't know where he's from, but it sounds like he has probably some connection to the Middle East. So I would say that maybe like if you probably had like a black black American, or like, I don't know, like a white man there, a white man from like Europe or something could help, because you had women, you also had women who were from America and women who were from Europe talking about Cleopatra. So I kind of would like to see that. So again, it shows like historical wise, when you're talking about a woman, only women should talk about women, when that's not the historical woman, when that's not the case. Um Also, for the bias, I would have also, what I said in the other, in my Cleopatra video, um like the bias was just everywhere. Basically, it was the I think her name was Deborah Heard, or was it, which one was it? I'm sorry. I missed this. Oh no, I wrote it down and I can't. It was, I think it was Shelly P. Haley, or Haley. I don't know her. Um, I yeah, her bias was all over the place. I just wish there was a lot more professional. She would talk about her mom, which, what does her mom have to do with anything? And so I just thought her bias was everywhere. So that was not how to handle bias within a setting. I think she was a professor of classics, but even classics should know that you should be aware of your bias within, when you're doing anything that has to do with um, anything that has to do with getting information to the public like that, because they want it, you want your information as free and biased as possible. And then when you start out the entire mini series with, I don't, well, my mom said, I don't, when I went to school, I told her about what I'm learning, and then my mom said, I don't listen to your teachers, because Cleopatra was actually black. Your mom was, unless your mom was a historian, you do not you do not need um you do not need to give that feedback. So that's the problem that I had with that. um so I just think that people just, at the end of the day, I think just people need to be like more aware of how bias can affect anything, basically. What it no matter, it doesn't always have to be from a place of hate. It can just be, it can help you, in it. Biases are just something that's naturally ingrained into us, or it can be learned. And it's not, I think biases are not inherently bad or inherently good. It's just how you choose to use your biases. And in this day and age, when you are a scholar, when you're an intellectual, it is that much important for you to create whatever medium, book, radio, film, Whatever medium you were going to give your research on, you have to make it clear as possible for your audience to understand. And if you add your own input to it and not say in my opinion, or just like an unrelevant thing like saying my mother said this, it's like your mom was not a historian. Unless you said your mom was a historian, then maybe I would understand why you put it in. But um I don't know, sometimes I just feel like we just it's in this day and age, it's a lot, it's more important to get things out in a clear sense. So that's all I have to say for today. Bye.